You've probably noticed that it feels like every company on the planet is moving to the cloud. It's not just a tech trend, it's a huge fundamental shift in how business is done. So let's pull back the curtain on this whole thing and really demystify the strategic journey to Amazon Web Services. We're going to break down the why, the how, and maybe most importantly, what happens after you get there. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, look at this number. By 2029, the market for just helping companies migrate to the cloud is projected to be worth over $800 billion. That's not just a big number, it's a staggering amount of money. It tells you right away that this is way more than your average IT project.
So, that's the big question, right? Why on earth are companies pouring this kind of cash into moving their operations? As we're about to see, the answer has very little to do with servers and everything to do with business strategy. All right. Let's get into it. Section 1, the imperative. We're going to explore the real reasons companies are making this move. And spoiler alert, it goes way beyond just trying to save a few bucks on hardware. It gets to the core of how a modern business stays competitive. Now sure, cost efficiency is on the list. Shifting from buying massive, expensive servers up front, that's your CapEx, to a pay-as-you-go model, your OpEx, is definitely appealing. But honestly, that's table stakes. The real game changers are things like scalability and agility. Just imagine taking your smartest engineers and telling them to stop worrying about racking servers and just build cool stuff. That's the real magic here.
And this isn't just theory. Take a look at Capital One. This quote says it all. They didn't just move to the cloud. They fundamentally changed who they were. They essentially became a technology company that just happens to do banking. By outsourcing the headache of infrastructure to AWS, their teams were free to innovate at a speed they never could before. It was a total transformation.
Okay, so we've got the why down. Now for the how. And it's not a one-size-fits-all path. It's more like a strategic map with a bunch of different routes you can take. We call them the 7 R's of migration.
And here's the absolute core concept you need to grasp. For every single application a company has, a decision has to be made. And that decision almost always comes down to a trade-off between two things: how fast you want to move versus how deeply you want to transform for the future.
Let's just look at the two extremes to make this crystal clear. On one end, you've got rehost, which everyone calls lift and shift. It's exactly what it sounds like. You pick up your application and drop it onto AWS. It's fast, it's relatively cheap, but you're also bringing all your old problems with you. On the complete opposite end, you have refactor. This is where you rebuild the application from the ground up to be cloud native. It's a much bigger investment of time and money, but it's how you unlock every last drop of value the cloud has to offer.
So here's the full menu of options. You've got those two extremes we just talked about. But there's also a middle ground, like replatform, where you make a few tweaks for a quick win. Or repurchase, where you just ditch your old app and buy a new SaaS one. But just as important are the last two. Retain, which means you're making a conscious choice to leave something where it is, and retire, my personal favorite, which is just turning off an old application you don't need anymore. See, every single R is a strategic tool.
Okay, a map is essential, but you still need a plan to actually follow it, right? It's like an expedition. This part is all about the step-by-step process that ensures this massive undertaking doesn't go off the rails.
And this 5-phase plan is pretty much the industry standard playbook. You start with discovery because you can't move what you don't understand. Then you plan everything out and you prepare your new home in the cloud. This is called a landing zone. It's basically a secure, well-architected foundation. Only then do you start moving things, usually in small, manageable ways. And finally, you enter this endless loop of making things better and better.
Now that process can sound a little intimidating, and it can be. That's why AWS doesn't just hand you a map and say, good luck. They created something called the Migration Acceleration Program, or MAP. Think of it as your expert guide for the expedition, providing both a proven process and some serious financial help to get you there. And when I say financial help, I mean it. The MAP program can provide credits that cover up to 45, sometimes even 50% of your migration costs. This is huge. It completely changes the business case and makes it so much easier for companies to get started on their journey.
So let's fast forward. You've done it. You've migrated. The journey's over, right? Well, not quite. In fact, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Arriving in the cloud isn't the finish line. It's actually the starting line for a whole new race.
This is probably the most important point of this entire explainer. If you just lift and shift your applications and then stop, you are leaving almost all of the value on the table. The truly amazing benefits of the cloud, they're unlocked after you've arrived through constant improvement and modernization.
So how do you manage this new world? Well, the most successful companies create something called a Cloud Center of Excellence, or a CCOE. Don't let the corporate name fool you. Think of this as the air traffic control tower for your cloud environment. It's a central team that makes sure everything is secure, cost-effective, and that the whole company is adopting a cloud-first mindset.
And if you want to see what this new frontier looks like when it's fully realized, just look at Netflix. They are the masters of this. When a new season of a hit show drops, they can instantly scale up to handle millions of viewers. But here's the genius part. The next day, they can scale right back down so they're not paying for all that power they don't need. That dynamic, elastic capability, that's the holy grail.
So let's bring it all home. What are the big things to remember? 1. This is a business decision, not an IT project. 2. The 7 R's are your strategic roadmap for making smart choices. 3. A phased approach with a guide like AWS MAP is the safest way to travel. And finally, and most importantly, getting to the cloud is just the beginning. The real prize is what you do once you're there.
And that really leaves us with one final, big question for any leader thinking about this journey. When you get to the cloud, is that your finish line or is it your starting line? Your answer to that question will define everything about your company's future.